So we're going to work a little bit with terrain modeling here and tracing contours. You'll see I'm doing this one in freehand, and I'm not really that good. My hand-eye coordination is a little off because it's pretty windy today, and I'm not chewing gum, which makes me work a little better when I'm chewing gum, and I can do things a little. That's doing it freehand. We'll try in a minute to do it with just line. So here's the other side of the hill, or the valley, and I'm trying to do this by hand, by line, and I'm finding it to be a little bit onerous. It wants to go parallel, and it wants to go on the red, and it wants to go on the green, and it's a lot clunkier, and sometimes I'm going to have to go backwards and try things different. Anyway, it's worth trying. So we've got two different types of contour lines here. This is done freehand, and you can see how it's all one piece. On this side, we've got them individual pieces that they're just lines. So we're going to see what the difference is when we go to work with them now and get them to the different elevations they need to be at. The next step is to take each of these contour elevations and make them into a group. So it's easy enough to do if we pick on this side here. They get that long line, but I want to add this one and this one and this one. It's going to take me a little while to do this. So once I'm done, I'll get back to you and we'll show you how to change the elevation of them. Right click, make group. Right on. So it might be a little hard to see right now, but this is lower than this, is lower than this, but these are all at the same height. So I'm going to select all of these. These are a crossing window, and I'm going to move them up. My little box here shows me that I can work on that. 0.5 of a meter. And then I'm going to get rid of one. I'm going to move the rest up. 0.5 of a meter. I'm going to keep doing that until I've got them all moved to the heights that I need. 0.5 of a meter. What fun. So basically we've created our own terrain here by tracing contours and then raising each successive contour up, in this case half a meter. And by scrolling around a little bit, you can see that it already looks like terrain. Isn't that terrific? Nice, eh? So we have the contours all at the correct elevation. I'm going to select all of them now. They're all groups for ease of working when I'm changing elevations. I'm going to explode them all. And then while they're still selected, I'm going to click over here on the sandbox tools from contours. And there's a little line at the bottom here that shows you how far it's advancing. 75, 85, 95%. We have terrain. Terrific terrain. If I turn off my layer of contours, I have terrain without contours. So with the terrain and with my building already created, I'm going to move that building underneath the terrain somehow. And as you can see, well, I'm moving it kind of across and through. What happens is it just flows through. And if I move it on the blue axis, I can raise or lower that in space really rather niftily. And I can set it where I want it to be. So you'll be doing that with your house on your terrain that you bring in. So next I'm going to turn off my terrain, which I've already put on this layer. Turn off my new building. I'm going to put on my large site plan, the one I traced from, and now I'm going to trace the property line out, and I'll show you what happens with that next. So this is where layers come in really, really well. Here's my building. I've traced it off the site plan. I'm not going to use it right now. I've got my property traced. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my terrain back in and just show you what I've done. I've raised the property up above the terrain. The house I can move around and do whatever I want to vertically as well. But we're going to drop the property onto the terrain and see how it fits. So what happens next is I want to take this property line, I want to put it on the terrain, and I can't draw it there because there's too many lumps and bumps. So I'm going to go over here to my drape tool in the sandbox tools. It says select the entity to drape, that's this. Select the mesh on which to drape, select this, and presto changeo, I have got a property line on my terrain. And it's exact, and it's correct, and it's right, and you could ask any surveyor. So now that we've got the property line draped onto the terrain, we could be draping onto it all sorts of other things like driveways, patios, and walkways, whatever, planting bed areas. The house was drawn down here on the bottom and then extruded up and worked on. The property line was drawn down here on the base plan. Right now, though, I want to move vertically my house just so that I can get it just above the terrain. That's a deck there, and that should do it. My house in the terrain, not too shabby. Working with this now, we can modify the model. I want to add some material, texture. That doesn't work. I have to go inside the group. When I add it, it goes onto my property. Just to have a little fun, go inside the group of the house and build myself a green roof. Okay. The preceding video clips were recorded in 2014 for online SketchUp training with Gaia College. The SketchUp for Landscape Design course has over 50 of these types of videos, all depicting different ways of using the software and learning it in order to use it for landscape design.